Hey folks, about to be heading out in a few minutes, and just kind of updating you guys. I did relapse, and I've been um, binging on and off for the last few days. I haven't been able to get beyond like a day or two, which is a sign to me that I've hit rock bottom. And I thought I had, but I really have. And what can I say? Like I've forgotten in many ways. Close this window. I have to say, like, I have honestly forgotten. Since I got to 8.5 months of like literal Nofap and then 6.5 months of hard mode, without any porn or porn subs, that in that time I really forgot like how addicting, stimulating, distracting, and you could say dangerous this stuff is. And I've also realized I haven't really dealt with a lot of underlying issues in my life. I've worked through some of them, which is why I even got as far as I got. But at this point, it just kind of seems like I'm having to go do the 90 days again and get there somehow. Um, but there are a number of issues that are at work, and I say one of them is the fact that 6 to 8 months ago, before I got into that long streak, I really hadn't done that much delving into my own psyche or my own psychology, or I don't know if that's the right word, my own psychological composition or structure or nature. And I only really got into that after I started falling off the train, which was about 2 months in. And so a lot of the stuff that I'm dealing with right now is stuff that it's kind of like if I started NoFap seriously and taking it seriously like a year ago, I wouldn't be dealing with this stuff. I wouldn't be, because I wouldn't have um, allowed myself to fall into a deep depression. Um, you know, going, I probably wouldn't have been going through a breakup. I wouldn't have gotten all antisocial, which is really like that manifests outwardly as antisocial behavior, where I basically burned a bunch of bridges, cut people out of my life, and I had this girl. I've talked about her a bazillion times at this point, but like she was genuinely interested in me. And yeah, I had a girlfriend, or I was going through a breakup, or I was in one of those situations. I did, get back with that girlfriend, but um, it's kind of like if I hadn't gone into that phase, maybe I would be dating that girl now, and ultimately it seems like it would be a better deal from a certain perspective, because as me being honest, not really in a self-edifying manner, but I have had like issues over the last several years of just forming actual like face-to-face relationships with a girl, getting an actual like getting an actual girlfriend who lives in the area where I live, whether that's San Diego or elsewhere. And some of that, I say, like, sorry, I have people walking in the hallway, and then it's like, are they listening in on my conversation or listening in my video? But anyways, that's a little bit of the paranoia that comes with, or the anxiety that comes with relapsing, I think. But anywho, um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'd say like 50% of that obviously was stuff that I had control over, and 50% was stuff that was like not my fault. Um, you know, Stuff didn't work out because people are people, and maybe like I know there were cases where like um, especially being listened in on. Nope, just being paranoid. Did I? Okay, good. I gotta put some pants on. I didn't want to make sure that I wasn't like seen in the camera frame. Okay, good. Looks like we're far up enough. Okay, cool. But anyways, Nothing risque, nothing triggering. I know I'm sexy, not there. Anyways, um, but what was I saying? Oh, like the other 50% was things that were outside of my control. Things had to do with the girl's own nature as an individual, her lifestyle, her pressures in her own life, etc., etc., that would like cause things to not really develop on her end. And the other half, that I mentioned earlier, that was stuff like with me having like social skills or lack thereof, self-esteem issues, things like depression, anxiety, and of course my PMO habit or addiction. Those are things I can do something about. And coming out of that whole phase, that's where around 2014 when I met the long distance girlfriend on Facebook, and then we got to talking, and eventually 2 years later I go visit her, and then I visit her this summer, and it's like so much the reason why I ended up in that relationship was because I couldn't get a girlfriend over here, and some of that to do with like again with lifestyle differences. I'm waiting till marriage. Most of these girls are not, and even if they're willing to like put off having sex in a relationship, um, there's always that sort of like lack of understanding, lack of connection there, because they don't share that kind of philosophy, and they're just kind of like, putting things on hold for now, and that can obviously lead to things like cheating. It can lead to breaking up with them, and so on. Um, because of expectations, relationship expectations. Um, it's like, okay, so like if you're boyfriend girlfriend, what does that mean? What can you expect from the other person? Well, if they're expecting sex and you're not wanting to put that out because you're not married, that can cause issues, resentment, and discord and such. And things like that were stuff that I can't blame myself for, and I won't blame myself for, because from my perspective, me having morals, and ethics, and that sort of deal, and integrity. Um, but the other stuff, it's like I see that kind of stuff cropping up again and again in life, and so I got into that relationship, and it had its challenges, its ups and its downs. Right now, it seems like kind of things are dying down a bit, which is whatever. I mean, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that like I met that girl, the other girl, and it's almost felt like in my mind, like she would have kind of been the girl I would have wanted to date and be in a relationship with, and perhaps even get married to, if I had been in another spot in life at that point in time. If I'd been single, but I'd also had like the relationship skills. Like let's say I just gotten out of a relationship, so I had that experience under my belt, and I wasn't too like far gone. I hadn't been single quote unquote too long, and I'd met this girl. Then it would have been like, okay, I probably would have asked her out, and so on and so forth would have happened. But that didn't occur, and there was sort of that flip flopping going on, because part of me was drawn to her, part of me was, drawn to my girlfriend, and, it's like I had to make the decision, and at the time, obviously, it felt like the right thing. That was the thing that, like, I made the decision, that made me feel good, like, I'm being moral, I'm being ethical, I'm being, having integrity, and I'm standing by my guns, and of course, later on I see her this semester, and it's just like, it makes me question everything, 180 degrees the opposite. And it also makes me question like what I really should be doing, as far as my own psychological development is concerned. And it does relate both to Nofap and also relates to my practice as an occultist or a magician, my training, and I haven't done it as much as of late. I did a lot way long ago, like several years back. back when I was able to commit myself to it. But um, these are sort of questions of like, what should I be doing with my psychological self-development have come up because, I can use an example from the occult or magic. Like you can summon up a spirit, let's say, and whether you see that spirit as a manifestation of your own mind, an aspect of your mind, or you see it as an actual concrete entity that exists independent of yourself, you call up the spirit and then make some sort of deal with it or command it to go and cause something to happen in your life, that you're wanting to happen. Whether that's creating a job opportunity for you or helping with relationship problems or what have you. And, you could go and do that, but it's like I've had this sort of question of like, let's say that did work, and I did, use magic and make those kinds of effects. Now, if I don't solve the underlying issue that caused me to have problems socializing with women, establishing and maintaining friendships, um, managing my time and getting good grades, all that sort of stuff, then all it's just going to amount to is me, dashing into my temple or up to my altar or whatever, drawing out that magic circle and casting all these spells or doing this magic, and even if it's guaranteed 100% to work, it's kind of like I have to solve the underlying issues. And even if I still use magic, it's kind of like I want to solve the addiction problem, internet addiction, social media addiction, PMO addiction, addiction to drama. I have to work on that kind of stuff, and I know I can use magic for that, but it just makes me all like wonder, because I've had to try and hold on to the relationship with this girlfriend for all this time, and so much of it has been rooted in the fact of not only not wanting to go through certain emotions again, feelings of abandonment, feelings of unattractiveness, and so on, but also, as much as it's helped me to grow, definitely, I've had to learn to do a lot of things that I wouldn't have learned to do if I hadn't been in the relationship. It forced me to, get my grades together to the point that I could transfer to the school, get a room of my own, learn how to manage that, and rent, and a job, at least for a time, and traveling on my own, learning how to do all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't have really had the motivation if it hadn't been for having the girlfriend, that makes me like a lot of other guys, it's like that's what motivates us, the whole prospect of having a relationship. But it almost feels like I'm gonna have to do some certain necessary things in life, and I really don't know what those are exactly in order to fix this, because if I use the PMO addiction as an example, like I keep going back to it. There's something with it. There's something about it. There's something underlying all of that I just have not figured out yet, and I haven't. Besides just figuring it out, because besides figuring how it works, what it actually is, I would have to actually do the hard work of solving those problems. And I realize that if I don't solve those problems, I'm just gonna have a lifetime of regrets. Whether it's related to PMO or it's related to internet addiction, social media addiction, lack of time management, lacking the ability to keep up with a consistent exercise program, so on and so forth. It's going to be like just a repeat of one problem after the next, and I will end up with one of my greatest fears, turning 40 or 50 or 60, looking back and wondering how things would have been if I hadn't been this way or that way, if I'd had my act together, if I'd been willing to do the necessary work to fix my problems, Because one of my greatest fears, really, as far as relationships has been concerned, would be to look back, when I'm 50 or 60 and it's too darn late to go back to do anything. I've lost any, like, real looks or ability to, get a decent woman. And looking back and either being single and childless, divorced, or in an unhappy marriage, to the wrong quote unquote woman who I only married because she was Miss Right now, not Miss Right, And especially thinking back to certain specific moments where there was a girl who was genuinely interested in me, and I had the chance to be with her, and she was kind of at that moment where, if I stepped in and been the good guy in her life, that all these things would have happened, and, just wondering about that kind of stuff. And I don't want to be sitting there at that age going like, dang it, that was the moment. If I could only build a time machine, kind of like the character from Napoleon Dynamite, his Uncle Rico, wanting to build a time machine to go back to win that one game, that one football game, so he could go to nationals or whatever, and then be drafted to the NFL. But that's where I'm at emotionally speaking, and that's why I've seen myself relapsing and binging, because it's like using IFS therapy. There's a part of me that's in pain, it's crying out for attention. Another part of me is going, okay, I'm going to try to soothe that part. Okay, what can I use? What can I use? Oh, PMO. Here, have some PMO. Just stop screaming, stop crying. Here, have some PMO. Kind of like you have some child that's screaming because it's in pain. You just start trying to give it candy or fruit juice or whatever. Just okay, please, just stop screaming, But like, there's the other part of me, like the parental adult part, that realizes like that's not the way it is. That's not the way to work it out, to fix things, to get rid of the pain. You have to learn lessons from that. You have to apply those lessons. You have to change your routines and your actions and so on. And again, I wish I'd started on this a year ago. I mean, really, like a year ago or more than that. If I had done that summer of 2016, or even a year before that, summer of 2015, and really delved into it, I wouldn't be dealing with this kind of stuff. But in many ways, after summer 2016, even summer 2015, those are moments where I was like a little bit overconfident. I was transferring out in 2015, moving out, feeling like I had everything, had life by the horns. And summer 2016, I just gone back from my trip to Morocco. Again, felt like I had life by the horns. I've got the girlfriend, I got that thing settled, past that milestone. Now just to focus on X, Y, or Z things. And obviously, like, life throws you a curveball here and there. Throws a wrench in the gears, and you're having to like run off and try to fix everything. But as far as what I'm gonna do at this point, probably gonna run up to class. I really don't know if it'd be a good idea to show up late. Maybe I just shouldn't go. But fundamentally, I feel like this is me fighting all of the non-motivation that you get when you end up PMOing, especially after binging. But I have to keep myself out of the house as much as I can, and I have to wear myself down, energetically speaking, enough. Because every time I relapse or binge, like it's literally in this room. So much time in this chair or in my bed, and there are certain specific times, like it was right before some assignment is due, or in between classes, and I'm bored, or I'm stressed out, or I'm tired. part of me is not wanting to go back out because, oh, what if I see this person or that person? I'm coming with all these excuses to like stay inside so that I don't, so I can avoid people. Obviously, some of that is a side effect of relapsing. Um, but a lot of it is just an avoidant personality where I'm just wanting to stay away from, being quote unquote triggered or going through some micro trauma. Because I don't know, it's like I've only been able to explain to two people at this point what exactly happened to me psychologically last semester. Two people. And if I run into anybody else from that group, it's like, what do I say? What do I do? Even if they don't say anything and they're just civil about things, it's like their perception of me is like I'm mentally unstable, I'm weird, I'm dangerous, I'm creepy, I'm this, I'm that. I'm incompetent, I'm undisciplined, I'm lazy, I'm immature. Um, Especially if I see that girl, because like the last times I've seen her, it was like a combination of indifference and contempt. Like she was like ticked at me. Which ironically enough is kind of a good thing because it's like, oh, that means they care, but for the most part it was indifference. You know. And the emotions that brings to me is one of the big things that ends up distracting me from what I should be doing. And I know this is an addiction. This is an addictive characteristic. When that whole process, the whole routine, the cue, the routine, the reward, that whole habit gets in the way of you doing what's actually necessary, what you actually supposed to be doing. And it becomes detrimental. And it's a science and addiction, especially when you keep on going back to it. So somehow I've got to keep myself busy, get myself out of the house, be like on top of all my assignments, being a week or two ahead. I've got an OChem 2 exam coming up on the 28th, and that's 2 weeks from now. And I feel if I spend the next 2 weeks prepping for that, then I could be ready for it. And I'm retaking that class because I need to get a C or higher in order to get into biochem, which is what I need to do for my elective track. So that's really necessary. And I somehow remain detached from emotions, and who knows? Maybe me focusing on my classes and doing really well in them will garner the kind of attention that I'm looking for, and might inevitably create the opportunities for reconciliation with certain folks, and that, and perhaps getting involved with like something like the chemical engineering car project which they have at my school. That might put me in an environment, a locale, a routine where I end up running into people and I can end up having the conversations I need to have. Those may be the mundane things I need to do. So I'm hoping that tonight, on top of getting that whole set of forms finally filled out, I also want to go running, but I think I'm going to just try to make myself go running like right away after class, and just push myself through that hurdle, because I have seriously lacked any motivation to do anything. Luckily I have not put on that much weight. I'm 182.4 right now, which means that 2.5 pounds down I'll be within the BMI range, and then from there, I really want to drop down to 160, because everything I've seen is that that's the weight that I really need to aim for in order to actually be able to have a six-pack. And after that, it's just like, maintenance cardio plus strength training. So, anywho, I'm going to finish up here and then head out, because even if I didn't have class, I need to get out of the house. It's just, like, this is the spot where the relapses occur, and it doesn't help to stay here. So see you folks around. And yeah, that's it. Bye.